Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Playeasy Warmup, the podcast where we dive into the stories, people, and passion driving the sporting event and tourism industry forward. I'm your host, Carrie Shields, and today I'm thrilled to welcome Ruby George, co-founder of the United Grid League, to the show. Grid is a sport I only recently became familiar with when the United Grid League started using Playeasy a few months ago. I was immediately intrigued. Fast-paced, co-ed, strategic, and electric to watch, Grid is unlike anything else in the competitive fitness world. One of the things that brings me the most joy in this role is hearing the real-world success stories of our platform, Playeasy. And recently, the UGL found their national championship location in Florida through Playeasy, which they will be announcing this week. But it was an incredible full-circle moment for us. Ruby has spent over a decade building businesses with her brother, and together they've grown UGL into a sport and a movement, now heading into its 8th season. She leads league operations, partnerships, and brand experience with a sharp focus on building long-term relationships and delivering real value to players and fans. With experience spanning the NPGL, the Miami Surge, and now the United Grid League, Ruby knows this sport inside and out, and she's on a mission to make Grid a household name. We'll talk about what it takes to grow a new sport from the ground up, the unique appeal of Grid, and how Ruby and her team are building something truly original in the sports world. Let's get warmed up with Ruby George. Get ready to call dibs. Utah's newest sports megaplex, Western Sports Park, opens spring 2025 in Davis County, Utah's amusement capital. Less than 30 minutes from Salt Lake City, this venue is built to be a game day contender. With 55 acres of multi-purpose fields, top-tier facilities, and amenities for teams, fans, and families alike. Choose from WSP's multiple indoor arenas, 6 full-sized fields, or the stunning championship field, complete with seating for 2,000 and breathtaking mountain views. What truly makes Western Sports Park a winner are the next-level extras. From private flex spaces, a referee lounge, on-site concessions to sensory rooms, and free parking, your team is covered on and off the field. If you're looking for ways to play beyond game day, it's easy. WSP is the newest addition, conveniently located next to Station Park, Davis County's popular entertainment district. Family-friendly restaurants, attractions, and hotels are just steps away. And Utah's only amusement park, Lagoon Park, is only a mile down the road. Give your MVPs the VIP treatment at Western Sports Park. Book now at westernsportspark.com. Ruby George, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Awesome. So let's start at the beginning. How did the idea for the United Grid League come to life, and what inspired you and your brother to co-found it?
Yeah, so we actually did not invent the sport of grid. It was invented in 2014, was our first season. But my brother and I heard the announcement, and we were like, that's really cool. So we went to the very first meeting in February of 2014, learned about it, pretty much fell in love with it, and decided we really wanted to be involved. So the original league of Grid was called the National Pro Grid League. My brother Mather and I were team owners in one of the first original 8 teams. And we kind of rode that wave. It lasted for about 3 seasons. And throughout those seasons, it was, a huge roller coaster. It was such a fun journey. There was a lot of really cool people involved. And when it became clear that the financials just weren't working out, there was, a lot of issues with just the structure of the business. Mather and I kind of decided, we want to start something a little bit more regional, something that was a little bit more maybe sustainable for the long term, because the issue wasn't the sport itself. The sport itself was incredible. We kept falling more and more in love with it. It was really just the business aspect of it. And so we started the Florida Grid League. Our first season was in 2017, and it was all regional teams. You could drive to your matches, all of that kind of much smaller. We were in gyms, little small gyms, and just grew it from there. And in last year, beginning of 2024, we rebranded to the United Grid League because players had been flying in from around the country for years. Our social media following is global. And we were really looking to expand outside of the state now that we had proven that, the sport's watchable, people want to play, and it was kind of time to go national again.
That's incredible. I think we started Playeasy in 2018, and I always say we started with about 20 sports. And since then, even just the people I've had on this podcast, the amount of sports have grown tremendously just since that time. And so it's really cool to see like how you've grown the sport of grid. And so for those who might be new to the sport, have never heard of the sport, how would you describe grid in just a few words?
It's really hard to describe grid in a couple of words.
Yeah.
But essentially, if you think about, like the NFL has teams that play the sport of football. We are the United Grid League. We have teams that play the sport of grid. It's large co-ed teams. So men and women play on the same team. There are about 18 people on a team. And teams play in a regular season playoff and championship type structure. So it's really traditional team sport. The difference is that we don't have a ball or a basket or a touchdown. We have our field of play, which is called a grid. There are 2 lanes, and it's essentially a bunch of short, fast races between these 2 teams. All of the races have different rules and allowances and different elements to each race has a different type of structure. But the goal is always to just cross the finish line first. And how you use your team and who is, your specialists and your positions on the team, that's really what matters. And so, these races come down to just a couple of seconds or a fraction of a second of who crosses the finish line first. So it's really, really fast, exciting, short races. And, the best part about this sport really, well, there's 2 things. One is that it was designed to be fun to watch. It's the first team sport that was designed to be fun to watch because it was, a recent team sport, which is unusual. But 2, it's men and women on the same team, which is also just, everything that's great about team sports. It's duplicated because now you have every single walk of life, every single type of person able to play on these teams and contribute to the team with their strengths. So those are the 2 biggest things that make grid very different from every other team sport out there and make it really fun to watch.
And you just answered my next question, which was what gap in the sports or fitness landscape were you aiming to fill with UGL?
Yeah, it's interesting that you said like so many different new sports because the vast majority of them are some sort of hybrid of an existing sport. And so, like you might be combining a whole, there's Omega Ball where there's 3, it's soccer, but there's 3 goals and, like different aspects like that. And grid is just completely different. It's completely new. It was born out of Team CrossFit essentially. But it was, okay, there's this fitness sport, the sport of CrossFit. Their goal is to prove fitness. And so it's kind of taking those elements of proving fitness, but taking the fitness almost out of it. So this is really just about who can cross the finish line first, who can win the races. It doesn't have to do with fitness. It's more about strategy. It's more about using your team in the best way possible, which makes it a lot more like football than CrossFit. But since we have barbells in our rig and, people are doing handstand walks, people confuse us with CrossFit a lot. But it is very different. It's actually a lot more like football or soccer.
And I watched my first competition yesterday just to get a feel before this conversation. And I highly recommend, you guys do an unbelievable job with your social media and your YouTube channel, checking out just the how exciting of a competition it is. And obviously, as you said, it's the first co-ed, correct me if I'm wrong, the first co-ed team sport. And so what are some of the logistics that go around the actual competition in terms of how you compile a team, what rules go into having that team, and so on?
It's so complicated.
Yeah.
This sport, I mean, the number of checklists, the number of details that you have to remember for this sport is astronomical. And so it is quite a barrier to get, a new team and bring one in to be competitive because there's so many different ways that you can utilize your team, so you really have to have a good understanding of the rules and you have to have a good understanding of the people that are on your team and what their strengths and weaknesses are. You need, a bunch of different types of leaders and good communication. And so as a team, it's a lot of, logistics, and it's also so much fun. That's the biggest piece that people say being a part of a team like this is like when I was in college and I, was, or high school and I missed that team aspect, because as an adult, unless you're a professional athlete, you don't have that kind of, opportunity to play something like that. And so it does kind of like fill that gap, going back to that question of, well, I love sports. I'm never going to be never going to play in the NFL. What else can I do? I can get really good at CrossFit and get really fit and then go use that in a team sport still. So,
I mean, I think it's one of the coolest things about seeing and having an inside look of all of these different sports and competitions, where I was a basketball player. And so I spent my whole life competing of the sport of basketball until that was over. And there weren't really any opportunities outside of pickup games for me to compete at that level of basketball anymore. Mm-hmm. And so for someone like me who had to lift weights throughout that whole time playing basketball, what an incredible outlet to get that competitive juices flowing. Mm-hmm. Where do you find that most of these athletes are coming from? Do you see it coming a lot from the CrossFit world, mostly endurance sports, or just people at the gym?
Yeah, it is widening quite a bit. So it is a lot of CrossFitters. Often people will hear about us through a CrossFit gym. But the best part about it is that you don't have to be good at all of the different movements. So as a CrossFitter, a lot of us CrossFitters are like, oh, that's in my wheelhouse, that kind of thing. I'm great at burpees, but I'm not as strong as everybody else. So I'm never going to be a high-level CrossFitter. But there are people that, are just insanely good at rope climbs, and they can do burpees faster than anybody else in their gym, and they make a great asset on a grid team because they can be used for those specific movements. And so we do get a lot of, that kind of demographic in the CrossFit space, but we also have strong men, strong women. We have pure gymnasts. We have a D1 gymnast in our league this year. We have a former pro rugby player that just joined this year. So yeah, it is a widening variety of sports, people that come from. But a lot of times it is CrossFit, just because it does make sense to kind of get used to those movements, and then they hear about us through that.
And I think that's the thing that really clicked for me of like, okay, I get it now, was when I was in college, we would have for preseason, our team was separated into two groups where we would go through competitions everywhere from benching to high jump to 60-second runs. And mm-hmm. I was certainly not the one competing in the high jump, but I was very good at benching. And so we got to pick who goes where. And so that really made it click with me. And so maybe for some of our listeners who it's still not clicking for, I think just the overall team aspect and pulling from the strengths of the individuals of the team while being co-ed is really cool. And so you guys started in 2017 and have grown tremendously since then. Could you talk about kind of where you started logistically, where in the country, and then where you're going to today?
Yeah, so we started in Florida. Like I said, originally we started in small little gyms. I mean, they had to be actually pretty big gyms to fit our grid, yeah. But for us, they were small. And then in 2021, we started partnering with existing fitness expos. And so started, bringing our entire setup to convention centers and being a part of, like there was the USA Fit Games. We've gone to Mr. Olympia and other fitness expos that just, have a multitude of sports. And so we're one of those sports. So that has worked out really well for us. But over the years, I've had to look for different venues several times because our grid is the size of a basketball court. And so it fits perfectly, in a high school basketball arena or something like that. However, we drop heavy weights. And so we need to have a floor. Either the wooden floor has to come up or, we need to have some sort of floor that can sustain dropping really heavy weights, because you seriously don't want to damage anybody's floor. So I have spent a lot of time just kind of scouting around looking for, venues, and it's always been really, really difficult. So I was really excited when I found Playeasy. We started out mostly in Florida. And so we'd play in like Tampa, Fort Myers, the Miami area. And now since our teams are, we have a Houston team, we have an Atlanta team, Las Vegas team, and we just announced our New York team just last week. So we are expanding quite a bit. And so we're looking to continue to travel outside of the state a little bit more every year. We went to Las Vegas last year. We're going to Dallas this year. And who knows, we might be in New York next year, or we're hoping to sign more teams as well. So the options are wide.
Congratulations on the expansion team. And so could you explain, so you announced the New York team. What does that mean exactly? Is it an 8-person team? Is it a league there? Would love to hear more.
Yes, so the New York team, they are the New York Wolves. And so they essentially have the right to run a team in the New York area. And so they will, be coming into play in the regular season next year. They'll be, part of the league structure, and that will be, the 18 type person team co-ed structure. They are actually looking for, the ownership group is looking for a kind of a coach or assistant coach kind of coaching staff structure. So if anybody out there is familiar with Grid and or CrossFit or wants to get involved, then they are looking to expand a little bit of their own team.
Awesome. And so you spoke a little bit about what goes into the logistic for venue selection and what you need. So some sort of multi-purpose floor that you could have. What else do you need to actually run a UDL event?
Yeah, so we do need about at least 10,000 square feet. So it has to be around 150 feet long by 50 feet wide. We oftentimes will bring our vendors with us, so we need space for that. We need, space for our equipment and our warm-up. It's great to have locker rooms. That really helps our teams kind of, make it a great experience for them. And other than that, we're relatively easy. We are event planners, and so every venue that we've gone to, every event that we work with, it's like, wow, you've got your systems down. And so, yeah, it's just kind of a matter of like getting in there and making it our own. But those are the big things, is like the amount of space that we need is about the size of a basketball court, so it is fairly large. And also the floor is the other really important part.
Awesome. And as you continue to rise, how do tools like Playeasy support your team in discovering and booking the right venues to meet your league's needs?
I mean, it was awesome when I discovered Playeasy because we were looking for our championship venue for this year, because we didn't have an expo that was going to fit within our time frame. And so for the first time, we were starting to look at venues, and I was just like, I don't have time to do this. I legitimately said, like, I cannot go find a new venue. And then somehow I found Playeasy, and it was like, it's all of this is done for me. So, I was able to like talk to a whole bunch of different venues and different areas that wanted to bring the sport there, and got quotes from several of them, which was awesome, and ended up landing on one in Kissimmee that I think we're gonna sign the contract with this week. And it was even really great because it's like, it's fairly late. We're only a couple months out from our August date, and we were still able to really chat with them about what we needed. She was able to find us a couple of venues to look at. We went and had a site visit, and it was perfect. It saved us so much time.
We love to hear that, and that was the purpose. We came from your side of the business was, how is there not a way to source all venues across the country for any specific event? And so there's nothing more we love to hear than a success story like that. So we're excited to hear that announcement. And so as you scale, how important is it to find venues that align with your brand and overall athlete experience?
Yeah, especially as we grow. We've worked with a lot of different venues, and even when we were with the NPGL, we worked with the Miami University. So they have the ability to take up their wooden floor in their basketball court, and so we were there. We were in this, giant, really, really nice venue, and we've been in venues before that like are just so hard to work with. I won't name names, but some of them are like trying to get into the loading dock, trying to purchase internet, trying to get a couple extra tables and chairs is just so difficult that it makes us never want to go there again, because it's so hard to run an event anyway. And then when your venue's almost making it harder for you and causing you more problems, then that makes it really, really difficult. So having a venue that feels like a partner in the success of your event is really, really helpful. And it's something that we try to find, which makes it even more easy, when there's a list of these people that we can talk to and connect with about the event and what we're shooting for, and they can help us make that happen. It's really, really helpful and important. So I would say right now we're not quite at that Miami University level. We're working on it. That is the eventual goal, is to be going back into these basketball arenas and traveling around the country and, broadcasting professionally and things like that. But the stepping stones to get there, it's really helpful to know about the different options that are out there. And like I said, not having to make my own spreadsheet and literally Google event space in Florida and then just pick through this list of, and half of them don't even call you back, and it's just a nightmare. So thank you for making this website.
Yes, yeah. Well, when even hearing that gives me a little bit of PTSD from our time of sourcing, scouring all of Google to find every single venue out there, but discovering that there are people and organizations out there whose sole job is to bring events like yours into their city to create that economic impact and to provide the best event experience possible for your athletes and spectators. It was a new world for us that we didn't even know existed back then. And so could you talk a little bit about the importance of a destination partner and how giving your athletes and spectators that experience is so important for your overall organization?
Yeah, honestly, I'm really excited about that aspect of it because we haven't had the opportunity really to engage like that before. So our championship will really be the first time that we're working specifically with a group of people that want to bring us to the area, which is really cool. And through our research, actually, I was talking to people further up north who really wanted us to come there. We'll consider kind of moving around the country next year a little bit more, solely because we found Playeasy and can talk to people that are looking for the type of event that we provide. It's cool too because we have such a large reach. We don't bring as many, in-person spectators as a traveling, baseball league or something where it's going to be hundreds of athletes. It's not really our jam. It's the 150 athletes are traveling around all over the place. However, we can bring millions and millions and millions of views to your area and talk about how great it is, for us to be there. We can make content about our athletes in the town and where they're going to dinner and, in their hotels. And we can do all of that. That's part of who we are as a company. My brother and I come from a marketing background, and we work with, our sponsors and partners on their marketing needs. And so I'm really excited to kind of find an area that wants that type of exposure and wants us to just come and show the world how great their town is through our content, through our athletes, and through our views. And I think that's in our near future. So I'm really excited about it.
I am confident that is in your near future as well, because even when we started to become aware of what this sports tourism industry is, a lot of it was based on heads and beds and how many people you bring into the city. But now it's how do you utilize technology and social media in order to help spread your brand, your city's brand and experience. Right. And so I think the opportunity that you guys have there, once again, I'll promote how great of a job you guys do on your social content. You do some incredible short video content and great storytelling that I know that's something that you're passionate about. And so how do you approach that storytelling and fan engagement in today's digital first world?
I mean, luckily, my business partner, my brother, is just kind of a whiz at the whole marketing aspect of it. I'm the event operations person, so I do all the checklists and the timelines and things, and he's constantly thinking about how can we tell the story better, how can we introduce our players and our teams better, and for our partners as well. That's what we've built our kind of reputation on. Working with brands is what is your goals? How are you wanting to utilize the Grid League and telling the story of the Grid League through your brand and your, aligned values or whatever it is that you want to talk about. And so that is something that we, really think a lot about, especially going into a partnership. Okay, how can we set this up to make sure that we're hitting your goals? And honestly, if brand awareness is one of the goals. It's like, it's such an easy thing for us to do because of our reach and the reach of our players. So if our players go to a venue and have an awesome time and they're going to be posting about it and, you know, tagging, and they have 800,000 followers, then that's going to bring a lot more, you know, visibility to then even what we can do. And we have 1.6 million followers. So, you know, it's all of that combined that makes it a really powerful tool that we use on behalf of our partners, as long as it is aligned. Like, we definitely want to make sure that we're working with the types of partners that get it and are, you know, kind of in that partnership realm instead of just a transactional. We don't like to be transactional. We like to make friends with.
Yeah. It seems from the outside like you guys have built an incredible community and walk the walk, not just talk the talk. So it's cool to see. And so
Right.
How do you see Grid evolving in the next 3 to 5 years? Do you have any plans for youth development or partnership with fitness brands, or what do you think is going to happen?
Honestly, we have so many layers of our foundation. You know, this is our 9th season, and so we've got a long time of really figuring out how to put on these matches really well, figuring out how to be really good partners, figuring out how to run the sport. The teams, you know, have taken the time to really figure out how to run a team effectively and efficiently and as a family. And so we all kind of feel like there's so much opportunity in the sport. It's really just a matter of bandwidth and making sure that we are putting our resources in the best place that we have. So we have had a kids grid league before, and it was extremely successful. The kids loved it. It's such a great kids sport. It gets them off the couch. It keeps them in reality, and it teaches them how to, you know, handle men and women on the same team. And there's not a whole lot of sports that can say that, because there's, you know, when you're a youth, you start getting separated pretty early on. And so we're really, really proud of the Kids Grid League. It just became, you know, like, well, we can't do this as well as we want to because there's so many other things to do. So again, we're kind of just waiting for that partner to come along to say, like, hey, I want to ramp up this Kids Grid League. And we could see it played in schools and, you know, CrossFit gyms all over the country. We've got big plans. So yeah, I mean, once the kind of like inflection point happens where our resources open up and we have more bandwidth, the sky's the limit, honestly. Like, we keep hearing over and over again from people that have been within the league for a long time and are just learning about it now. Like, it really feels like you guys are about to blow up. And that's our goal, is to be a household name, you know, eventually to be on everybody's TV screens. Everybody knows what Grid League is, and everybody has someone that they can resonate with on a grid team because, you know, again, there's such a wide variety of skill sets, body types, backgrounds, you know, like whatever they are good at, you can find somebody that you're going to be able to root for and get excited about. And that's one of the great things about the sport. So we're just trying to get in front of as many eyeballs as possible.
Yeah, it's all about exposure and getting people to see all that you guys are doing. And so you started with your brother, and I would love to hear, I have 3 siblings, but 2 of my sisters I played sports with my whole life. And so I know how special that can be, but would love to hear just a little bit about your relationship and how you've been able to grow the organization into what it is today.
Yeah, I think that's the piece I feel the luckiest about, is that I happen to get Mather as my brother. I kind of won the lottery there. Also because, though, like, you know, he's a great guy, but also we're so opposite. We complement each other perfectly with our skill sets, with our temperaments, with the things that we worry about. It's like we're never both worried about the same thing at the same time, which is funny. But it, you know, and it creates a lot of conflict. Like, if we kind of, you know, let our emotions take over, which I certainly do sometimes, but I work on it. You know, we would constantly be at odds, but we really both feel thankful that the other one picks up where, you know, we are deficient ourselves. So, like I said, he's really like the marketing. He's the creative guy. He's the visionary, and I'm the operator. I'm the, you know, timelines. I'm the relationship person. So, like, a lot of our staff, I'm not that he's not like, and this is the thing too, is that we both are such entrepreneurs that no matter what it is, we're always constantly trying to get better at the other things that we're meeting in the middle. So like I'm in marketing and sales now where I wasn't 5 years ago, but it just needed to happen for the brand. And so now I'm like learning a whole new skill set, and that was mostly because he didn't have the bandwidth for it. But, we're kind of like working it out. And he also has, gotten so much better at logistics and planning and being a part of the events team. And it's, we really kind of just have learned a lot from each other, taught each other a lot, and worked on our relationship quite a bit, our communication, making sure that we're just always respectful and putting the relationship first. And I'm thankful that he's my brother, and I'm thankful we get to do this together.
Oh, I love it. There's so much I can relate to in that testament of building a business, but building it with someone you trust, because it's a lot of work. There's a lot of conflict, and once again, it's being a team, building off of each other's strengths and weaknesses. And so, as we look forward to the rest of the year, what are you most looking forward to for United Grid League?
I think we have got a bunch of new players in the league this year, and I'm excited to keep seeing them, fall in love with the sport, fall in love with their teams, have an amazing experience. That always just gets me so excited and hyped. The staff that we have coming back this year over, the last couple of years, like we're just continuing to get more efficient, more, gel more as a team every single event. So I'm really excited about that. I'm excited to go to Dallas because Texas is a huge grid state. It's the second, I think, state that views like highest viewed state. We've had, multiple players coming out of Texas for a long time. So I'm really excited to get out to Dallas this year. And I'm really also excited for our championship because we'll be in a brand new venue. And that's always really fun, especially when it is more of a partnership. And so we can kind of like create a new home vibe. And, they've got the locker rooms, they've got the lighting. So we're really excited to get over there.
Oh, well, I know we are excited to follow. And so for anyone who's looking to get involved, whether participate in the sport, volunteer, be a part of the organization, how would you recommend doing so?
Anybody can email me, ruby@unitedgridleague.com. That's RUBY. But yeah, email me and I can get you to the right place. Or, I follow along on Instagram, follow along on YouTube. Watch our matches. We just had our season openers over the weekend this past Saturday. And so, it's really exciting. Like it's hyped up. We're pumped because it's, everybody is getting started. Our next ones will be on June 14th as well. So, hope everybody follows along.
Amazing. And last question, Ruby, what has been the biggest lesson you've learned in growing UGL?
I think honestly, it's on a personal level, and it's just emotional mastery is paramount. I used to get so stressed out and so upset over every little thing that went wrong, and so worried and scared. I had so much fear all the time. And in the last couple of years, I've worked really hard on my own mindset and just, also you get punched in the face enough times, you're going to get used to getting punched in the face. So going into our 9th season, I just don't really let anything rattle me anymore. But it took a lot of practice to be able to kind of have that power over my emotions. So I think it's made me a better human, a better parent. I have more fun in life now because I have the ability to just kind of control that a lot better. I think that's my biggest lesson from business ownership in general.
I love that, and I'm going to steal that answer for the next time I'm asked, because it's so true. How much more you enjoy life when you go through all of the ups and downs and realize control the controllables and.
Exactly.
What
can you do? We were going to Vegas last year. We were so excited. We were in Vegas. We were at Mr. Olympia. It was the biggest. It was the first time we played grid outside of the state of Florida. And there was 2 hurricanes back to back. One of them was canceling all of our staff's flights. Half the players couldn't get out there to Vegas. Like the entire event that we had spent months planning just blew up. And so we just had to deal with it. What was crying going to do? It wasn't going to fix anything or change anything. So we just dealt with it. And we pulled off an incredible event, and everybody had a really great time. So.
No, there's so many stories, I'm sure, just like that, you get through, and you guys are obviously building something really great. And so we're excited to continue to watch your growth and be a very small part of it. But Ruby, it was so nice getting to meet you. As I said, I'm excited to continue to work together, and just really thank you for your time.
Same here. Yeah. Thanks for having me. This is awesome.
Awesome. All right. Thanks, everyone. Until next time. Bye.